Hi, my name's Pete, welcome to the channel. On this episode of the Driffield to Selby railway line, we're going from Enthorpe station, hopefully all the way down to Market Weighton. The line opened in 1890, closed in 1965, and we're going to go see what's left. I'm on the bridge at Enthorpe station. Now under this bridge I can go into the cutting and I'll show you under it, but we'll show you the top first. I'm out with our kid, so you might see him in background. So this is our bridge parapet wall. Down there is the railway and that's Enthorpe station. It has all been infilled underneath this bridge. You can see the parapet wall is still in place. This was all going to be knocked down, but the current owners of the land at Enthorpe station and the houses there and the platforms did object to this being filled in, but they couldn't stop it. But what they did do is they stopped the parapet walls being knocked down on the condition that they maintain them. Now without people like this, all these sort of things would be lost. We can see it's red brick, blue engineering brick on the top. There's no maker's stamps on the top of these like there is on the Driffield to Malton line, but they do look a very similar brick, possibly made by the same company. Now this bridge here has this fence on there, look, which means there's this gap here, so that must have been an original access through there. They would have built this like this, and we can tell by these stone copings on the top. So next we're going to go down into that cutting. This is Enthorpe cutting, the station being the highest point on the line. We are now dropping down quite significantly into Market Weighton. Now I'm down in Enthorpe cutting, and what you can see at the top there is the parapet wall for that bridge, and this is all the infill that's behind me. Now remember that viaduct, the 5-arch viaduct from Warrendale up there? I've got some photographs of that and I'm going to insert those here for you. Well, it's here, in there, under that bridge. It was demolished and they brought it here to underfill that bridge. I'll turn the camera around, and it is a really deep cutting. There are some photographs taken from down this cutting, and I will insert those as we go down the line as well. Now there we are, we can see the top of the parapet wall up there with the blue engineering brick on. This is all infill. It's quite a deep cutting at this point. I believe it gets to about 80 feet at its deepest from what I've read. And what they've done is they've put in some little wildlife corridors. We've got another one down here. Now my brother on his way down did spot some red engineering bricks up there from the viaduct. I didn't see those, but I'll show you they are there. This is all chalk bank. The cutting is wide enough for two to go down. It's all overgrown, but when this was first cut it would have been brilliant white, and I've got some photographs that show that. There's our bridge. We're going to go down the cutting. This has been designated a public footpath, even though there was private signs up. There is a Government Act of 2020. I have seen that. You can see the white chalk. So we're going to walk down here. It does widen up a little bit, look. And if we see anything of interest, we'll switch the camera back on, and I'll be taking some photographs on the way down. I've switched the camera on here because we can see the embankments of the cutting at either side are quite clear. Now, nature's been taking its course here, and you can see at that side where it's kind of held in place with the trees and the undergrowth, and then at this side you can see the slippage of where it's sheared down and come down, and instead of it being a nice cutting at either side, it's sort of filled in this side a little bit. So we'll keep going on, and if I see anything else interesting, I'll be sure to show you. That's the way we're coming from Enthorpe station, and this is our cutting. I can't tell you how deep, how big that is, you know, but I've got our kid to stand there. There's a bit of scaling for you, but this was a huge engineering job digging out this. This area is known to have ancient burial grounds in it, tumulus as they call them, and they had to disturb 4 of them to dig this cutting. I don't know where they removed the bodies or opened up another tumulus and put them inside there, if there was anything left of them at all, that is. But they had to dig 4 of them up to build this cutting. It's now an area designated of special scientific interest, and our cutting just continues to get deeper, because I think it is 80 feet at the deepest point. And there are some photographs taken of some steam trains down that way, and when I get there I'll take some photographs and match those in as well. So we can see here the embankment is now dropping off quite quickly, so I've switched the camera off to show you that, because there are some photographs with trains coming along here. It's barely wide enough for one track now, because the subsidence has just caved it in at either side. We haven't come across any clinker, because that'll be all buried underneath all this. The years of undergrowth rotting down and mulching on top of that has covered everything. The only chance we've got of seeing any clinker is if there's any rabbit holes, and we haven't seen any. I'll turn the camera around and I'll just point out that embankment dropping down for you, and I'll insert some photos. As we're walking down the cutting, we are scanning everywhere. It's widened out a little bit more here, but you can still see where it's dropped, and it's like it on both sides. You can see where it's caving in. Now you can see there quite clearly the lines of flint, chalk, flint, and there are huge lumps of chalk and flint on the floor. But my brother's just picked up the first bit of clinker that we've seen down here. So we do know that this was an active line, so we would expect to find things like that. And you can see the path is wider, and we are seeing a bit more of that clinker because it's getting worn down to the actual track bed instead of being 4 or 5 inches above it with undergrowth. So we'll continue on and we'll see what we'll come across next. Pointing you back to Enthorpe station this way, we can see this cutting now dropping off quite rapidly. Anybody who knows the Yorkshire Wolds will know how hilly it is. Up and down, up and down. and that's dropping off to virtually nothing a little bit further up there. But at the top of the embankment here we've got a line of fence posts, bit of fence. I don't know if that's original or not, but the fence posts definitely are, and they are dotting it all along. On that side I can't see anything at the top of there, but it's quite a clear embankment, really wide here. Still a bit of slippage on the land, but then it ain't got that much gravity to fight against at this side here, with all this growing in there and with it being a shallower cutting, and it's almost flattened out. Now I don't know if this goes flat or if it goes onto an embankment, but knowing the Yorkshire Wolds, probably onto an embankment, but I'll show you when I get there. Almost at the end of the cutting, we can see that side's quite high, this side here really low, so you can really tell they've dug that out on the side of a hill. Now it's a sunshiny day here today. It's done nothing but rain every other day in this country for months on end at the moment. And then if we look here straight away, we've got all them fence posts again. Railway era, no doubt about that. Dotted all the way along. I can see them up, I can see them for miles. I don't know how far you can see them. Something white on a fence post down there. It might be a bird. I'll have a look when I get there. So the cutting is almost gone. Enthorpe being that way, we can see now this side has gone to an embankment, and this side is quite flat but hugging that dale side. Slight embankment, deep embankment this side, but we've really got something worth showing here. I'm kind of hoping it's what my brother has identified. Oh, let me show you the floor as well here. All the clinker, bits of unburnt coal, huge piece there. But what's really important is this. This is the white thing that I saw on the fence post I mentioned. Look at that. For those of you that don't know, it's an insulator, and that'll be from the telegraph poles that used to line this railway, and somebody has found it and popped it on top of that fence there. So again, I'll take some photographs of that and I'll pop them on at the end of the video if you wanted to see that. So we can see the dales here are dipping down and up. That side's been quite level, but now we're going on to an embankment, and then it'll go into a cutting at that side. This side here is now quite a steep embankment, 30 feet down there. Still keeping our eye open for relics. What a nice thing to find that insulator was. We'll continue on and go down the line that way, heading towards Market Weighton. So apologies for the wind if you can hear it. A little bit further down the line we can see a cutting at that side, but that's a dale. And what's happening is you can see it joins here, bit of a cutting, but then you can see the continuation of that dale there. Now this line is like this all the way now. We'll get down there because there are some bridges to show. There's fence posts still dotted in place. We're going to try and get a fair way down there, and I'll switch the camera on when we come across something interesting to show you. Enthorpe being that way, we're now on our first true embankment really, I suppose. Down there is actually stacked up, piled up here, and then you can see it that side as well. More embankment here. It's only a low one. Looks like it goes for a fair while, but you can see the hills rising in the background. You wouldn't have had much of a view here. Yeah, you'd have had some nice dales to look at, but not for far. We'll continue down the line. We're still on the embankment and we've come across a farmer's crossing. Now this is quite exciting because with it being an embankment, they've had to build a ramp up for the farmer to access, and it goes across the railway to where our kid is in that lot there. And I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm looking at. So that way is towards Market Weighton, and here it is. There is some fencing. I don't think much of that is original, but I can guarantee you that this crossing is original. Now I'll put my money where my mouth is on these gate posts here, these concrete gate posts. They are the same as what is at Enthorpe station. If you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it. You can see it's got the original catch at the top there, which must mean the other side has been replaced with a wooden one. But if I show you the top of it, you can see the shape of that's arched. I can't get to it any closer than that because of the trees. But that is a gradual ramp down into that field, and it crossed straight across here on an angle. I say straight across, it crosses on an angle about 45 degrees. And my brother's pointing this out to me. The remains of actually the original gate. Wooden gate post, big old hinge on there. I suspect the other one will be down amongst all that lot on the floor somewhere. And marvellous, yeah, wooden gate post still in situ. Was the other one in place when we got here? No. What have we got on the floor in this area? More clinker. And there's your ramp up. This is still accessed at this point. But if anybody who watched Mountain Monsters, but that could be a Bigfoot nest. Right, let's move on. So I've switched the camera back on just to show you we're on quite an embankment at this side. This is all designated ancient forest, is that. That way is back to Enthorpe station, but the farmer has been on the embankment and scraped back the surface here for some reason. I don't know why. But you can see all this is clinker, coke, small bits of coal, all mixed in there. And if it'd gone down a bit deeper, like here, you can see what the embankment's made of. And he has done just there. I'll walk you over to it and we'll have a look. And we can see our top layer is all there, and piled it up here, mixed up. But directly underneath it, where he's gone deep enough, we can see that this embankment is packed chalk. And I can tell you that is solid, because it does pack down welder's chalk. We'll continue on the line down there and we'll try to get to these bridges. Just as I say we'll try and get to them bridges, we've come across another farmer's crossing. Gate post left in situ. And you can actually see the ramp down there. Come to the side here, you might get a better pick of it. I don't know how well you can make that out there, but it's here. Steep drop. And then if we have a look, we've still got metal work attached to this. We do have that piece of metal work there, and we've got the gate post at that side as well. And again, it goes across on an angle. Gate posts still in situ. Remember 1890, these were not built for tractors. These were cattle crossings. We've still got the gate here as well. And if we look at the metalwork there, the gate's even still attached to that. Now we will continue on the line and see what else we can find. We are just coming on along a sweeping cave now, that way to Enthorpe. We've got some fencing in there. Not convinced it's original, but it could be. I think some of it is and some of it isn't. And I know you can see the shape of that fencing through those trees. But what we're on now is all a bit of an embankment, and this is known as Enthorpe Bank. Before 1917, trains would have been just shoveling coal in here, trying to get steam up and get speed up to make it up to Enthorpe, because it's all uphill to Enthorpe. I'm not certain of the gradient. If you do know, please drop me a comment what this gradient is. But sometimes on this embankment and going up to the peak at Enthorpe station, the trains couldn't make it, so they'd have to get a second engine. I'm not really certain how they would have done that. Would they have left the train and walked back to Market Weighton? Because it's not far, it's only about a mile or two now. Well, maybe 3 miles actually. Would they have walked back? Because you couldn't back a train up because other trains would be coming. So would the fireman or a conductor walked back to Market Weighton? I say 1917 because before 1917 and before, when the railway station was built, I think in 1847, I think the trains arrived in Market Weighton. It had an engine shed, a 2-row engine shed, and there was one engine permanently based there, and that was to help get trains up Enthorpe Bank through the cutting to Enthorpe station, because it was such a steep gradient. In 1917 that engine shed was closed and turned into a second goods shed, so the technology was probably advanced enough that these engines had the power to get up here. We'll continue down the line. And from just telling you that, I've arrived at another farmer's crossing. There is a post here, and I know you'll be able to see the top of that one there a little bit better. It goes across on an angle again. I can't get any closer, you can see what's going on there. But this side here, we can get fairly close. We can see that it's got the remains of a gate there. We've got the gate post in situ, and at the other side there, embankment, we can see the ramp up to this crossing. Very much likely for horse and carts and just cattle, nothing else. Very unlikely any motor vehicle ever came through that gate. We are on our way to Market Weighton. We'll continue on. So we're walking away from our farmers' crossings here. This track bed was wide enough for 2 tracks, and then we come to this section here which goes in and then back out again to here. Yes, I can see that it's fairly white and fairly fresh, relatively speaking, and you might think a farmer's perhaps come and dug that out and wanted the stone for somewhere, but we think this was deliberate, because right at the top there, about where the distance of all the fence posts are, even when you go down to here where it's not dug out, you can see the fence posts of the railway. Now these, if this wasn't here, these fence posts would have continued along roughly about there and then joined these ones here, but instead they've gone round it, and they are the same type of fence posts at the top there. So we're just wondering what this part was. Perhaps there was a building here. Was there a plate layer's hut there? Or did they dig this out to build the ramps for the farmers' crossings? What are your thoughts on that? Drop us a comment. That way being Enthorpe, plenty of farmers' crossings. We've got another gate post here. Not much left of that. There is an iron catch at the top, so this was the part what the gate swung to, and it went across on an angle there, but this has all been modernised for farm equipment There is no farm, there's no fence post across at that side. Just had a look across there, nothing remaining there, but the only clue that gave me away was this slope, because it doesn't match the landscape. Yes, it's huge and it's for modern farm equipment, but it would have never have been that wide, as we've seen by the other ones. So we saw this gate post, so that's how we knew that this was one of the farmers' crossings. And you can see how wide that is for modern farm equipment. You think back to those other gates we saw, horse and cart at the best would have gone through there. So I'm filming this bit here because there's a farmer's crossing. There's nothing original left in this area, and I don't even know if it was an original farmer's crossing. But what I can tell you is that way's towards Enthorpe, and there's a change. That is where farmers have been using and running up and down. But then when we turn round, this is going into the Goodmanham section. This is your track bed. This is what is now all designated public footpath, publicly accessible. We can see a lot of fencing there, it's not original. And then this is all track bed. If we have a quick look down at the floor, we can see some disturbance, and we can see some clinker amongst all that. There's some red brick over there, I don't know what that's from. But this is going to be a bit of a battle to get through. I'll turn the camera on when I see something else of more interest. So as we were walking down here, we came across a little bit of an open area, and we were watching the beck, because there are no culverts going under this railway so far. We're on an embankment here, and all our crossings so far have been a level crossing or raised up to the embankment, but it's changing now, because we're on an embankment probably about 30-40 feet high, and then we came across this, just stood here wondering what that was. Now we were told there was a bridge with the plinths knocked down. Now that is 7 feet high. I'm going to hang you over the edge. You can see that down there, because you will shortly, you'll get a better view. And then if I go to the other side, we can see how neat and tidy this edge is here, it's not collapsed. But then blue engineering brick, and then of course we've got the plinths down there. So what we'll do is we'll go down there and we'll have a look at this bridge. That is what it looks like from down at the side of the embankment. Zoomed into it, that's what we saw. I'm going to zoom out so you can see that there. And it just looks absolutely lovely. Very, very poor condition. You can even see it's misshaped a little bit as well. It looks like the walls are coming apart that way. You can see subsidence marks up there. These supporting walls at the side. Just shot to pieces really. And then if I look down on the floor here, this is a bit of infill, this, because it's probably where that's been pushed over and knocked down. But it's still a lovely bridge. If we go inside, I'm going to go underneath it because it's got a huge crack in it. We've got the engineering bricks down here, we've got the blue brick there. Don't see any makers' names on them clearly, but we can see where there's water seeping through. Huge crack in it there. And then graffiti artists have been here. Lovely arch. We've got a gate at this side. There are sheep and livestock in that field. We've startled them a little bit, but we're not going to go any closer than this. Again, the plinth at the top, the parapet wall is gone, and the supporting sides here are just devastated. But what a lovely little bridge. So after being under that bridge, we'll get back up on the top there. We'll continue on. There is another bridge to come across. And we'll get there. We'll continue filming on. Hope you're enjoying it so far. We're leaving our bridge behind there. We're going to walk across the bottom of the embankment here, just to show you all these fence posts that are still in place. The only reason these fence posts would have been here to keep people off the railway, cattle off the railway, or livestock of some description. But you can see how overgrown it is with all the trees down there. At one time that would have been bare, and when it was brand new it would have been bare, brilliant white chalk. Now we wonder, me and our kid wonder, if these embankments, when they were in use before the trees grew up, if they were just black or very dark grey because of the clearing out of the firebox, all the clinker and slag going down the side there, all the bits of coke. So you know, this would have just been full of coke and slag. Now, part of the reason we stayed down here is because we come to another bridge. This is Goodmanham Bridge as well. This one is in better condition. We are on a footpath, as you can see. We can go around here. It's still fairly poorly maintained, I would have said, but it is a huge bridge. So this is another bridge. Look at the size of this one compared to the last one. This is huge. Much better condition. We can get up and down the bank there really easy, so we can see the top. The parapet wall at the top has been replaced with some concrete blocks. It's exactly the same design as the other bridge. I don't know who the architect was for this line, as in who did the bridges, but it was I think it was that chap called Andrews that did all the stations. But this is a huge bridge, absolutely massive. And look at this, it's even got your Department for Transport, Market Weighton Driffield, bridge number 5. So that's who's responsible for looking after this. Now my advice to you is get down here, clear all this lot off, get it pointed up, and then you can forget about it for another 100 years. And we see that parapet wall at the top there has been replaced. We will get up there and we will get back on the track, back down that way to Market Weighton. And continue on the line, but we'll have a look off the top of this bridge first. Here we are on top of the bridge. That's the path we came round, this is the way we approached. We can see it there. You can see these terrible concrete brick walls. I wonder why they knocked down the original walls. Were they unsafe? Who knows? We can see that beck is still there. We're watching that because it might go underneath, which might mean we've got a culvert. And this is what we're looking at from above. So I'm going to switch off for a bit. We're all on embankment here. Got to get through this lot to Market Weighton. There may be another bridge or two, I'm not certain. I thought there was only 2, so those are a surprise. But we'll continue down here and I'll switch you on if there's something to see. So we're now well on our way to Market Weighton. We're in a slight cut-in. This is all public footpath, a byway at Goodmanham. You can see it's a slight embankment that side, probably about 10 to 15 feet, and that side probably about 5 feet. Fenced off, all private land to the left. They've pinched a bit of the railway, whether they bought it or pinched it, who knows. But you can see this is clearly wide enough for 2 tracks, and we'll continue on. I don't know what's down here, but let's find out. I'm showing you that gate post there because we're at another crossing, but we can't access that because someone's put this fence up and they're probably trying to privatise that land. But we can see it, we've got corresponding gate post at this side and another one there. And we've got to get on because we need to get to Market Weighton. And here we arrive at our next bridge, crossing Goodmanham Road. We've got our piers in place there. You know, it does look like it's got its original top on still, with some iron work up for safety. Now it is a huge bridge. We will go down and look at this one. You can see that gentleman over there is a bit of a distance away from me, but this bridge is massive. And it's got a culvert built into it as well. This is the first time along the line from Driffield. Oh no, it's not the first time at all. It's probably about the second or third time that we've seen water pass under this railway. Now me and Arcade have got to figure a way out to get down there to film the underneath of this bridge for you, and we'll have a look at that culvert as well. Here I am on Goodmanham Road, underneath Goodmanham Bridge. A huge substantial structure. I think the last bridge we saw this big would have been up at the Brackenbird Bridge. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm showing you, and it's got something quite unusual as well. So here we are, this is a huge bridge, and you can see the parapet walls up there are original, still in place. We've got the Department for Transport number, which is bridge number 2, which means we must have another one to come across. But unusually we've got a culvert here which runs alongside this railway bridge. I'll show you the other side as well. We've got the blue engineering brick up there, big blue engineering brick up the side here. Right, so Department for Transport bridge number 2, that's this culvert here. But then immediately next to that we've got this road bridge. Now this has got a Department for Transport number on it as well, and it is not number 2, it is number 3. The bridge we saw back up there was Department of Transport bridge 4, MWD, Market Weighton, Driffield. I'll take you a bit closer to it so you can see it. There you go. I'll show you underneath the roof. We've got this staggered brickwork, that shape, going that way for strength. And then if we come around this side of the bridge, you can see it is a huge substantial structure. I don't know how long this took to make, but I suspect not that long, considering this line was started in 1888 and then opened by 1890. 2 years it took to construct this section of line. You can see a drainage point there. And then we'll go around to this side here and we'll go back to this beck stream, whatever you wish to call it. And I can actually get down to there. So we can get a little bit closer. And what I'll do is I'll just put my foot in the water slightly and I'll reach you out so you can see the other side there. Look at that. Now if I'd brought my wellies I would have gone through there, but I didn't. Got these huge substantial sandstone plinths there, and our blue engineering brick all the way up there. Now I'm going to end this episode here at Goodmanham Road, Goodmanham Bridge. What a fantastic piece of engineering that is, and with that culvert right next to it, the beck going alongside and underneath it, who would have thought that that would have been bridge 2 and bridge 3 so close together. I want to thank you for watching this episode. Please hit like, share and subscribe. The next episode we will pick up here and we will go all the way to Market Weighton station.